Those sounds never fail to remind me that we're not just entering an abandoned space, but an inhabited ecosystem. Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to Garry's Mod. And today, the map we're going to be exploring is RP Radar, another port of a S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl map from NuclearGhost. One thing I really love about S.T.A.L.K.E.R maps is how, from a curious perspective, there's kind of multiple layers for you to look at. On the surface, there's the urbex angle, creeping around with your flashlight, exploring old military structures and how people here used to live. Then there's the underground, the part that would have been hidden from the public, and maybe even things that continued after the initial disaster. The stuff they didn't want people to see, the unethical side, just below the surface of where people were living. And then you have everything that's come after. The strange plant life, the anomalies, the wildlife that comes to inhabit this place and make nests and sort of adapt new nature, old nature, and the human structures that are here. Oh, it seems like we have something of a roadblock. Hello, what is this? Okay, two things. One, that didn't happen from radiation. And two, those are some tiny, tiny heads. Still, that is a much stronger method than a truck to say, stay away. So, the safety Glock will be joining us on this journey. Oh, look at these rusting metal vehicles. Whenever you see an abandoned car, you really have to think, someone left this here for all this time. I wonder, when they pulled it up, did they think that this would be its final resting place? Was it a case of I'll be right back and they never got back, or did they know they were abandoning it here? Even more of these heads. Now, this map is from Shadow of Chernobyl, which I have not played. I might get to it at some point, but it's going to be quite a while. I do have Into the Radius to get through first. Oh, look at that fog. Walking under these twisted, dead branches. The result of whatever happened here. And it's not just the radiation. In S.T.A.L.K.E.R's universe, there's the initial Chernobyl disaster, and then later there's the other one from the experiments that continued there up until 2006. Now that right there actually looks to be a civilian bus in amongst these military vehicles. It's like something stopped them in their tracks. Kind of makes me wonder if this wasn't maybe used as like an evacuation route? But something went wrong. It's like all these vehicles just stopped in their tracks suddenly. Either something happened to the mechanical components or their operators in mid-drive, and probably all at once. And when you look at these things, you have to wonder which disaster it was from, 86 or 2006. When looking at these wrecks, all I can think is that it would almost be less creepy if there were corpses or skeletons on board. With this, it makes you wonder why they stopped in the first place, if their bodies were completely destroyed, or if they had to get out and walk the rest of the way, and if so, what happened to them? Did they make it? I feel like a lot of times in games, they get so into the environmental storytelling that they sort of spell out what happened. But with this, nothing but old, rusted, mossy vehicles on the side of the road. There are some implications, but nothing outright stated. Even more military vehicles. Notably, the civilian vehicles coming this way, and most of the military vehicles facing more that way. Like they were traveling in, civilians were evacuating. And neither one actually got to their destination. Those fences make this a pretty linear road, which is kind of surprising for S.T.A.L.K.E.R. where all the other maps I played were quite open-ended. But this gate looks to be a little bulkier. Are we perhaps reaching some sort of facility? I mean, the map is called RP Radar. Oh, it looks like the road might fork right here. Oh, that fog is so dense. Seeing those trees just visible on the edge of it, some of them quite tall. Almost acting as a beacon, showing me that I can in fact go this way. Oh, that is so creepy how those power lines are still swaying in the breeze. Before we go down there, though, let's head up this little side street and see where this takes us. Maybe it'll get us to some kind of high ground so we can see what we're dealing with. No, this goes off in another direction entirely, actually. It's not just up the hill. Oh, this almost reminds me of walking into Silent Hill at the beginning of Silent Hill 2. Walking down a narrow fenced path with dead leaves all around. But we've found the entrance to some kind of underground facility. And knowing the S.T.A.L.K.E.R games, this probably connects to whatever's down the other way. Oh, the shadow from that light on the front almost looked like a shadow figure peering around the corner for a second, didn't it? That light is still on, suggesting power, but some of you guys suggested during my Call of Pripyat playthrough that the lights themselves are an anomaly, that they're not so much powered as just kind of frozen in time. And while those sounds invited curiosity before, when entering a closed structure like this, it becomes a little bit more unnerving. Yeah, I'm getting huge flashbacks to GM Let's try that. Oh, it does actually work. Seeing such a small entrance like this, I've been conditioned to think the smaller the entrance, the bigger the base. I feel like I'm going down into the Hive from Resident Evil. Those movies are on Netflix now. I've been watching them on the treadmill, so it's going to be hard to get that off my mind. I think this is going to be a case where the flashlight is required. Okay, spooky music that isn't part of the regular ambient tracks. That sort of suggests that maybe you're going to do something to me, which is not out of the question. Remember RP generators? Oh, this whole section of the facility is gated off. Now, the thing that I really love about the S.T.A.L.K.E.R games is that it's sort of Urbex with a spooky twist. And here we're certainly leaning quite heavily into the spooky side of things. Oh, we can actually get around to here. Okay, we'll save that. Those sounds have me real nervous about what I'm going to find around the corners. For example, I can't think of any clearer sign that I should not be going down this hallway. Look, there's even all these screens hanging from the ceiling, blocking my view so I can't see what's further down the hallway. Why are these here? And what happened to these people? Look, some of them charred to skeletons. Hang on. It's so hard to get through here with all these corpses on the ground. But it's a dead end. Wait, there's something on the ground right there. Hang on, maybe I can crouch under this? Like a big radio. Big radio that I can't interact with. Just a long, dark hallway full of dead men. This isn't a research facility anymore. It's a graveyard. Or more accurately, a mausoleum. Alright, let's just make our way out of here. That's music. Makes me feel like there's something behind me. I almost feel like they're all going to come to life and start crawling towards me while I'm in this crouched position. Okay, let's leave that hallway and never think about it again, if you don't mind. Oh, this is like a crematory. Still lit. Were they planning to dispose of these bodies down here? And how many did they succeed in disposing of? Just what did this place look like at its worst? Oh, this place is huge. Hang on. I'm trying to keep everything organized so that I can explore this place in a loop, but it's really difficult when everything connects to everything, with areas seemingly arbitrarily blocked off. And this whole thing is just reminding me of the appeal of exploring underground bunkers and military bases. It's the kind of thing where you have to stop and think about what this place once was. Now it's crumbling concrete and rusted metal. But it was once a state-of-the-art government facility, the kind of places where you'd be brought up on espionage charges for standing where you're standing right now. You have to wonder about what important people walked through here, what things were discussed, what top-secret information was talked about right here. Are they things that we now know that are declassified, or are they things that we still don't know, that we never will? Can't open this one. Although, with that transparency, I'm a little nervous to put my face up against the glass, shining a light into the dark. Although realistically, reflecting most of it back into my own face. All this equipment, who knows what any of it did. And further garages, suggesting that vehicles could actually be brought in here. Oh, and it goes down even further. Look at that, the glow from around the corner is so inviting. Feels like a trap, doesn't it? Yeah, there's a garage here. There must be some kind of other exterior connection. But we've traveled a decently long way. It seems like all of this is kind of built into a hill. You know, when you think about it, the disaster itself is kind of... It's kind of a story of whatever was going on down here being brought up to the surface. Something going on under their feet for all this time, only to be made aware of it all at once in the worst possible way. Remember when I said this place kind of reminded me of the Hive from Resident Evil? Well, here you go. The image is complete. Oh, look. There's a whole multi-track train system that leads to this place. This facility must have been huge. And it extends even further. Now, I don't know how far down these tunnels we can actually travel. I would hope not that far, but while we're here, let's get in there and see how far we can go. Oh, look, that wall of impenetrable blackness. Thankfully, ended by just a regular wall, which means I don't have to walk all the way down that way. Yeah, that's why. That's why we don't go all the way down that way. Look at the materials they were dealing in. I love this. I love rooting through the ruins of some shady operation. It's the idea that at one point this would have had so much security surrounding it, and now it's just been left because the power responsible for it, the power that was big enough to build all this, has completely fallen apart. And now all these great weapons, great experiments have just been left to rot, to rust. I don't know, it's got a very Ozymandias vibe to it, you know what I mean? It's like this whole thing is one big monument, a mausoleum to a fallen empire. All these twisting and turning hallways, why? Rounded corners are worse than angled ones because they stretch out that period where you don't know what's around it just a little bit longer. Even more perpendicular railways. I feel like I'm coming out and going back a whole lot, but I want to make sure I see as much as possible. And it's like everywhere I go goes off in a different direction, which really speaks to the size of this whole thing. Usually when I explore something like this, I find that I start looping into myself a lot, but that just isn't happening here. Another elevator. And a barracks. Imagine spending your days down here. Maybe it would have been a little cleaner in its day, but certainly no better lighting. Spending days, weeks, months at a time down here, how often would you even get to see the sunlight? We actually have no idea how far down that elevator brought us. Oh, there's so much here. Do you hear that? No, stop at ambient sounds. I hear something. Yeah, only when it's completely silent, I swear, I can just faintly hear breathing. But only when there's nothing else at all. No footsteps, no sounds of the building crumbling. And here's another rail connection. So many of these. And that vehicle in these doors suggests that this is yet another above-ground connection. This door fell on top of the train. Sorry, I'm actually having a really difficult time commenting on this one. Just because it's like every time I round a corner, there's something different. I can't stay on a particular train of thought, no pun intended. It was a little bit intended. And I have no idea where I am, how it all connects. This place is just so sprawling that I can't keep to any one idea. Another elevator? This one doesn't actually appear to be working, which is fine by me. But this door looks like it does. That buzzing honestly shook my spine a little bit. Where are we now? kind of plumbing central hub. Now it feels like I'm in the guts of the place, the infrastructure that keeps it running. All these sounds kind of contribute to making the place still feel so alive. Like, it's not really empty, and any moment now I'm gonna run onto the current inhabitants. There's another one of those doors. So what breaks out of a crate of this size, I must wonder? What does this door go to? Oh, can't this ever loop back in on itself? The more I explore, it's like the less I understand. I could have sworn I just heard something coming from the left. Like a hiss or a rasp or something? Come on. Everywhere I go... Imagine getting lost down here. Imagine coming down here for all the fun of exploring. You decide to explore what is pretty much the correct way and just follow whatever piques your interest. And then at a certain point, you realize, okay, I'm ready to go home now. But you have no idea which way to go. And so this vast human construction might as well become a cave. One which you have no way of leaving. But you know that there is some way to the surface, and you just have no idea which combination of hallways and rooms will lead you there. Honestly, this is part of the reason why I mostly refuse to urbex underground stuff. Things like mines, caves, anything like that. I could have sworn I just saw something there. Oh, sparks. I don't know, underground stuff, absolute heebie-jeebies. With a building, at least you can always knock a window out, worst case. Another elevator. This isn't the one we arrived in, though. So there's at least 3 of these things. Okie dokie, this isn't the daylight that I was hoping for. Ah, there it is. Now, that is weird, though. They backed the car up with a ramp. Almost like they were trying to herd something out or drop a whole bunch of something in. Was this maybe like an attack on the base itself? Oh, where are we now? I suspect this is down the road from where we entered the base. As I suspected, all of it connected below ground, but it is very, very nice to be able to feel that cold air, which I can feel. I think I've explained that before, how when you're in the VR headset, which by itself is pretty hot, when you're in those dark, claustrophobic spaces, you know, you start to sweat, you start to feel so closed in, to the point where you can almost feel the difference in the air when you actually come out. It almost feels like your breathing is higher quality, and you can feel that chill on your skin. But more of these. Whoever's leaving these, they're all over the area. I think for the time being, we do a little bit of above-ground exploring before we head back down there and try to see what its deal is. This is actually a pretty complex structure. Look at the way these staircases go up and down. The rail line actually running straight into the building. But are we actually able to get inside? That I'm not so sure about. I mean, there are no exterior windows. Maybe we can climb one of these towers for a better idea? No, it looks like that's all we're gonna get, unfortunately. Okay, so... commence operation, explore these grounds a little more. Man, these railworks are so complicated. It's like they were playing Factorio in real life. I will say, something I love about seeing all these abandoned cars and trains, the crane overhead, you can very clearly see that they were in the middle of something when this all went down. Either a project that was abandoned due to the crisis, or all of this is here because of the crisis. But it doesn't tell us exactly what that project was. What the heck is that thing? Are we going to be able to get through here? No such luck. Can we see through? Ooh, there is actually something back there. But once again, they're warning us to keep out. I'm starting to think we're not actually going to be accessing the building itself, which unfortunately means we have to head straight back downstairs. Before I do that, though, I think what's in order is for us to figure out where we are relative to everything else. And that long, shadowy, foggy road covered in trees, I'm assuming is the road back to where we came from. Something about the way the fog falls over this area. Only a few things poking out above it. It really makes this whole area feel like it's been claimed in some way. Like it's swallowed up everything that was built here and said, this is now mine. Both in the movie Stalker and in the games, the zone is kind of talked about as if it's sentient. As if it has some kind of intention behind it, and while I don't believe that's ever explicitly stated to be the case, I don't know, there are certain aspects of it that just make it feel that way. It's said to be science, so much of it has explanations and can be understood, but it also has a certain logic to it, and certain times it almost seems to reward or punish certain behaviors. That's something that I think is so fascinating about Stalker in general, is how it really rides that line between science and magic, between sci-fi and fantasy. And in a way, it sort of makes it a good example of both simultaneously. And this is a really steep road right here. I feel like trucks and all these military vehicles would really struggle with it. But this is quite a long road. And what is that up there? Some kind of concrete walkway? What would be the purpose of something like this? I don't know if I've ever seen a structure like this before. Can we jump up and over right here? Here we go. Can just barely make it, and there's another elevator here. Wow. We gotta remember that for every foot we walk underground, the same exists above. Next to this personnel carrier, there's just a little makeshift fire right here. Like they were stationed here, their job was to guard this road, but they didn't really have a whole lot to do. So they just made themselves a camp. Either that or they ended up stranded and didn't know where else to go. Look at all this hardware left behind. Given the size of that craft, it kind of feels like a lot of this forest might have maybe grown around the helicopter. That or it crashed and slid down the hill. Now, once we make our way a little bit farther down the road, and I'm pretty sure that this is the turn where we went up here and found the first entrance to that underground facility. Now, this is kind of what I was talking about before. I mean, look at this. This is a spooky, creepy, abandoned area on its own. But it's the kind of spooky, creepy, abandoned area that you can imagine showing up on Instagram as explorers come through. Talking about the history of the place, the disaster, the evacuation. But most of them would have no idea about everything that lies just below the ground. Well, I say just below, we actually have no idea just how deep it exactly is. Those of you who watch my Urbex videos know that there are certain locations that I've explored many, many times over the years. And what's crazy is that there's this one in particular, a geriatric ward, that I've explored so many times, I pretty much know it like the back of my hand despite its size. And yet, only recently, like only in the past couple of months, did we discover how to access the tunnels underneath. Just like that, this area that I was so familiar with basically balloons in size. It's crazy to me how we spent so much time there having no idea what we were just parallel to. These tunnels even go across the street to the power plant. Like, I don't know, it's so crazy to think that all of this can be just out of sight. And yet that's exactly what maps like this are doing. Now, I don't speak Russian, but I do read a decent amount of Cyrillic, and I know that that says Pripyat. It looks like this one, they were a little more successful in sealing off. But yeah, I've just started to find that idea so fascinating ever since we discovered the entrance to these tunnels. It's just the idea that we thought we knew this place so well, and it's just the matter of that one unassuming door that leads to this whole new world that was always right there. I mean, imagine just standing on top of some floor or leaning against a wall and having no idea what's on the other side of it. That's the appeal of Urbex to me, and that's why you always check every little nook and cranny. Sometimes you just can't. Sometimes it takes years to see everything in a building. But I'm going to try here, and to do that, we are going to have to... Oh, wait, the ladder's actually on the other side of this fence. So is there some reason why you'd want to be down there? Now, I don't believe we've taken this elevator before, so I have no idea where we're going to end up. Look at this. One spot of illumination, and nothing but darkness on either side. Now is not the time to start hearing weird noises. But more trains. Surprise, surprise. This place has even more extensive an underground rail network than above. And now we actually do have the opportunity to walk the tracks in the dark. The light at the end is kind of our beacon. We have to assume that there's something over there. Whenever I'm running in darkness, I always feel like there's something right at the back of my neck. It's like going downstairs for snacks at night. You gotta shut the light and sprint up. But I think... Is this maybe where we came down the first time? Which means we can now go down this way, which we didn't do the first time. I think that's what we should do. Another bricked up door. Hello, look at this. Now we can see how deep we are. Actually, not so deep at all. This section is collapsed right on top of these vehicles. Although, this campfire actually suggests more recent activity here. After the collapse, and presumably after the end of military activity in this tunnel. Are there still people living down here? Is that the idea? Or, worse yet, Maybe when this collapsed, the survivors were trapped inside. Now there's a scary thought. It's just the idea of being entombed in a man-made cave. That's how I can't stop seeing places like this. I'm telling you, mines, bunkers, silos. Stuff like that is common American and post-Soviet urbex. But I just don't think I'm built for this stuff. I think we've been down this way. Yeah. I went down that tunnel that's on the left there on the other side of this train. Okay, I'm starting to piece this together more and more and gain an idea for how it all connects. I just have to think of it from the perspective of those elevators being 3 points. See, sounds like that. Those are the kind of sounds, with how frequent they are, with how loud they are, that make me think these aren't just sounds of the building settling. Like those are echoes, sounds that once reverberated through these tunnels, and are now doing so again now that there's an observer. Almost like the past wants to be heard. Now, there was another elevator somewhere. Wasn't one of these doors open before? Why does this tunnel look so much older and more dilapidated than the rest of the place? That tunnel in particular gives me a really bad feeling. I don't know about you. And it leads to an even deeper part of the facility. Oh, we've been down here already. These are the barracks. Okay, so I guess we take this other side then that we didn't take before. You see how easy it is to get turned around? The worst part of this for me is just watching the shadows recede. I understand it's like a video game thing to have some amount of ambient light and any excuse you can come up with for having it, but I don't know, I think more games should be willing to just have total darkness and nothing but the player's own light to illuminate the way ahead. I think I've actually found myself back more near the beginning area. Which means I have not done a good job. Hello. Those look like the towers we saw over the clouds, over the fog. Actually, now that I think about it, didn't we see either this or something very much like this in one of the labs in Call of Pripyat? Whatever this is, it's a big deal. In fact, it's probably the whole purpose of this facility. All of this being some kind of support structure for that. I'm finding myself back here, and I could swear that this door was open before. Yeah. Hang on, wait. I don't know if this is new or... There's definitely a button here. Oh, I see. It's like an airlock. Okay. Only one open at a time, huh? Let's have a look around and... No. I've been here before. But I went through this way? That means I go through the other way. Oh, it's crazy how easy it is to get lost down here. And they don't even put maps on the walls saying you are here. Look at the textures of this peeling paint. Thank you for punctuating my reaction sounds. It goes even deeper. And enters an even larger chamber. Does this perhaps go to the surface? Of course not. Of course not. Why would it? Why would anything go to the surface? Why would anyone want to go to the surface? That place is stupid. Actually, wait, we have been here before, because this is the elevator that we ended up at, the one that ultimately goes to the large facility on the surface. Which means we came through here, right? Now, these look a little big to be shelves. They look more like cots, like bunks. Oh, was this maybe like some kind of holding area? Maybe for test subjects? Ooh, now I didn't see this before. You could get a whole vehicle through this whole passage and I guess raise it up or even lower it down even further. But this isn't going to work, is it? No. It just makes me wonder, without power, how much even more of this place is there to access. I cannot stop thinking about GM Crot and just how deep that place went. This just opens up this door here. Alright, let's start seeing about heading down that dark, scary staircase. You know, sometimes when you're exploring, usually when you're heading down a staircase like this one, you start thinking that these look an awful lot like the final minutes of some kind of found footage tape. Have we reached the bottom? I really have to wonder what's behind these doors that's so important. Worst case scenario is this closes. That would truly be entombing you. This doesn't open. Yet really starting to get the feeling that these are like holding cells. Look, benches or cots. This area seals like an airlock. And then brought up a ramp through these double doors to who knows what. Oh, look at this huge storage area. I think the creepiest thing about this is that it's never explicitly spelled out what it's supposed to be. I mean, in the context of Shadow of Chernobyl, maybe it's more clear when you come here, but I haven't played that game. And honestly, when I explore these maps in Garry's mod, I'm glad I haven't. Only because it allows me the opportunity to speculate. Of all the creepy ambient sounds, that small little creak is the creepiest one. It stands out so much in its directionality. Another crematory. Or some kind of furnace, but honestly, this definitely looks like some sort of disposal. I wonder if there's a smokestack that leads all the way to the surface. You never know what's going into it or how deep it actually runs. And it finally ends in what looks to be some sort of boiler room. Oh, nope, we're not done yet. Oh, this place just never ends. I could swear I just heard like a bassy thud. I feel like I heard something. Something changed. Something's different. I get such a really bad feeling from this area. The deeper you go, the older it all feels, the more wrecked it looks. Even the lighting seems to take on a warmer tinge, as if to express that this is older construction. Almost like something that would be secret, even from the secret keepers up above. You know, when it comes to underground labs, it's almost like the deeper it is, the shadier you expect their experiments to be. The worse the secret, the more they try to bury it. Are those what I think they are? That's not a giant pipe. These look like silos. Hang on. Did you get stuck down here too, Darwin? Oh, it actually works. What did I just do? What did I just do? Well, whatever I did, I didn't do it. This doesn't work, meaning we can't get beyond this door. Alright, I guess we start finding a way out. Man, I can't help but wonder if I didn't just undo the efforts that someone died to put to action. I guess we'll see what we come out onto, if we can find our way out of here. Screw everything about this place. We are leaving. Come on, come on, come on. I really wish I knew what that switch did. I think this is the one that came out of the facility, right? That sound is different. That's new. All that is new. Oh, go, 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 go. Okay, something has changed. I feel like I screwed something up. I feel like I really... Oh, look. Look, there's like electricity or something, some kind of effects at the top of the towers. I think whatever this station did, we activated its primary purpose. Well, once again, me pressing an unlabeled button leads to the end of life on Earth as we know it. If anything, this whole thing has been an advertisement for Sharpie markers. I'm gonna get out of here before the cops come. But yeah, that was RP Radar. And man, it is so cool. I'll be honest, it was really difficult for me to commentate on, just because of the winding labyrinth nature of those tunnels. But that's not a point against the map. If anything, it's a point in favor. It makes the whole thing feel so dark and mysterious. I mean, you really feel like you're picking through a really evil part of history. Like, there were not good intentions behind this at all. I like how, for as massive and sprawling as that facility is, all of its entrances are very out of the way and unassuming. Just a tiny little door leading to an elevator. that takes you to all of this. Something that's literally the size of the entire area underground. Oh, it's totally nuts, and it really speaks to how this was something that they wanted hidden. And from the remnants of the disaster that you see on the surface, you can see all of what happened when what was down in the dark was brought up to the light. And it was not pretty. They all found out about it in a pretty sudden and bad way. Also, I have to give this map a little bit more credit than I did in the beginning. I've had a look at the workshop page just now to see if there was anything else, other functionality that I might have missed, and it seems like this isn't actually a port, but a recreation. Not only a recreation, but it also features a number of new areas and stuff that's inspired by certain things from the games, but is actually original by the creator. So that's really, really cool. Oh, these maps are awesome. These sounds are absolutely horrifying. I'm imagining they're similar to the sounds that would have been echoing through these hills as everyone tried to leave. Sorry, brave hero skeleton who shut it all down. I've undone your work, but hey, there was a button and we got to see what happened when we pushed that button. So, really, I can't be blamed. That's the important takeaway. Yeah, I'm glad you're grunting in agreement. Anyway, if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this map out for yourself, that link will also be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one.